are listening to the Books as Bad as Twilight podcast,
where we are reading Elixir by Hilary, Duff, and Elise Allen.
Visit us on our website,
www.BaBaTpodcast.com.
Get lost with us.
That's going in the intro.
That's so funny.
All right, I'm going to stop now. Unless you have something funny to say.
Boobs.
Yeah.
Not too shabby.
Not too
So,
shitty.
another thing, the reason I didn't want to read this book, and I have to tell you, Tatyana, because I know you have this game, but I decided to bring my Nintendo Switch with me on vacation this weekend. Mm-hmm. And I've been playing.
You had no service?
I had no service at all, unfortunately. I could make calls because we had Wi-Fi, and I could use the internet. I just couldn't text people. But anyway,
That's
so
weird.
Yeah, but I started playing Zelda Breath of the Wild, and I was always waiting for the moment when I would love that game, and it happened this weekend, and I'm addicted, and I have made stunning progress.
Wow.
I'm really proud of myself, and I wanted to play it today, and I was like, nope, I'm going to read this stupid book and not play Zelda Breath of the Wild. And I'm sad.
I'm sorry.
That's my story.
Oh, that's sad.
Look,
What?
if you played Zelda Breath of the Wild, you would be sad too that you couldn't play it anymore. I love
It was just the whole interaction with Tatyana just now. You put your phone down and it screeches across the table.
Yeah.
It screeched? Really?
Ah!
That's what it was. And then the
Hey,
I'm not.
our levels are so high right now.
I know, that's why I'm leaning back.
No, don't lean back. You want when you laugh, you can lean back.
Okay.
Or if you're loud.
That's what I was thinking too.
Anyway. All right.
But yeah, that's why I was laughing
Yeah.
to myself. That's how it works.
Oh, I just
You
heard
okay?
your breathless chuckle.
It's okay. You can laugh as long as you lean back.
It's alright. Mostly I laugh without making any noise anyway.
All right. So,
All right, everyone.
what's going on? My name's Brittany.
My name's Danielle.
My name is Tatyana.
Stop scraping the table, Tatyana.
Stop yelling at me, Brittany.
See, I didn't yell at you. I was going to clap and say welcome back.
Oh, thank you.
What are you doing? You're just staring.
Are you
I thought
gonna
you
clap?
were. I was waiting.
That's my clap. There you go. Round of applause. We're clapping in a circle. Audio medium.
In case you didn't know. So, everyone, welcome back to the Books as Bad as Twilight podcast.
And
We've
we
been,
are a mess.
Oh my gosh, we are a mess. Well, it's been a while since we recorded, because we recorded our intro 2 weeks ago.
Was it 2 weeks? I felt it was like 3.
You know, I don't even remember.
It's just been a while.
It's
Yeah.
been a while since
It's been a while. Yeah.
I don't know the words.
It's okay.
So
That's all that
what
matters.
are we reading?
Well, we are reading Elixir by Hilary Duff and Elise Allen, but you would never know Elise Allen by looking at this cover, because it just says Hilary Duff.
A novel.
You also can't tell by the back page because it's just a huge picture of Hilary Duff.
I think that's the picture from her album. Her
Yeah.
music
Listen,
album.
when you get a picture and your hair looks great, use that picture everywhere.
That's true. Yeah, I would agree with that. I hate, this is my pet peeve. There's an author that I used to read a lot called Karen Kingsbury. You probably would have never heard of her. She was a Christian author, or is a Christian author.
Okay.
And she does this too, where on her books it's just a big fat picture of her on the back. I'm like, and they're
Oh.
paperbacks too. So it's not like they have inside covers to show you what it's about.
Well, you know, vanity is definitely not a Christian, or definitely is
No.
a Christian trait.
Yeah,
so
not
you
at
have
all.
to capitalize on
Right.
that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to know what the author looked like,
Or
not what the book
maybe
is
she
about.
just wanted you to enjoy the mystery of what is in the book.
So true. So true. Well, the book was called Redemption, so a lot of mystery there.
Was it about redemption?
I'm not sure.
Who is being good?
Well, actually,
redempted?
that's actually a better title than the other ones. There's Remember, Return. I didn't read the other two. It's a
Is it
series.
all in ours?
Yeah, it's all ours.
That's amazing.
I want to read her books on this show.
Oh, I love that.
Because I read the first 3, and I used to really like them, but I don't know why. What just happened?
I threw my pen, and Tatyana laughed.
Because you threw your pen, it rolled across the couch, and then rolled into the one black hole. It's like the black hole of the couch where nobody knows what's down there.
You don't want
Probably my
now-
glasses.
we could look.
Yeah. I lost my glasses.
Here?
I don't know
It's
where.
probably down there.
That's what I'm thinking.
It's like a crack.
very well
You should
could
take
be.
a picture of this crack and post it.
I could be the picture for that.
Take a picture of your crack, Danielle.
I just why me?
Take a picture
Because it's your
Take a
I
picture
know, but don't.
of all the cracks.
Yeah,
And you'd be
stop.
like,
Just
one
stop.
of these is not like the other.
One's gonna be ass crack, the other's gonna be boob crack, and the other's gonna be the couch crack.
It's kind of like a game where like the pictures are covered. You have to pick the right one.
Oh, dear God.
Whew, Brittany.
Oh, wow.
What?
Did you see this page?
No.
In dreams and in love, there are no impossibilities. That is right after. I didn't notice that before.
Neither did I.
That's fantastic. So when you open this book, after the whole, like, the first published in Great Britain, blah, 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 there is a cover sheet? A title
A
sheet?
cover page, or yeah, it would. Ew.
It's not, but it
What's
doesn't
it
have the
called?
title.
There's a name for that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I forget.
I'm not a publicist. In dreams and in love, there are no impossibilities.
There are, I'm pretty sure.
There's a lot.
I think I want to follow that up with a lot
Sure.
of things that happen in this book, which I.
I mean, you
came right
actually want to
through.
talk about this book?
We have to. I put like a lot of time into this.
Do you see our tabs?
Do you see the tabs on this book? Instagram followers, you saw Brittany and my tabs that we did on our book. But anyway, there's a lot of moments in this book where I call the dun 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 moments, like dun 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 dun. And I feel like that is just like the first one. It's like setting. All right.
I'm throwing everything.
But you missed the couch this time.
Just fell into the abyss.
So there's a lot of moments.
A dun 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 moments,
Yeah.
So, we should definitely look out for those. But it's okay, I marked them, so, in case you were wondering. But anyway, before we begin,
Oh, yeah.
let's talk about our sponsor,
Probably.
Audible. Audible. What's wrong?
I don't know.
I just looked at you.
I know, but I felt like you were
Judging me?
judging me already.
Well, of course
Why?
not.
Already?
I don't judge anyone. I just sound like I do.
I love how everybody's like silent.
Yeah, because they... Anyway. Audible.
Ooh. Yes, Audible. Listeners. Today, listening to this episode of the podcast, you can get a free subscription. Oh, wait, what the heck?
I'm making faces at Tatyana. But
I'm like, I thought you were looking over there. I'm like,
oh, I see. Does he have a name yet?
Oh, the guy?
Thing.
Sage.
Sage. I see
What
Sage.
are you guys talking about?
No, don't
Okay.
don't worry about it.
Oh,
Okay,
oh,
Audible.
that's the guy.
Audible.
That's the guy in the pictures.
Yeah, we got this. All right, come on. Shh, don't spoil it.
All right, so Audible's our sponsor.
Yes, and if you visit our special link, audibletrial.com/BaBaT, you can get a free 30-day trial to Audible, as well as a free audiobook of your choice.
Ooh.
Do we have any recommendations for them, Brittany?
Oh,
I'm assuming not lost in the book.
I think this is on it.
No.
Isn't this on
No, it's not actually. Remember, we looked it up. It's only the first chapter.
What do I want to recommend then?
We can
What do
save
you-
it till later.
yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
save
yeah,
it till
yeah.
later, because I don't know either.
We'll
I
save
have
it
a
for
recommendation.
later. Oh, yeah, go for
Okay,
it.
go
I
ahead.
love the J.D. Roth series, the In-Depth series.
What's that?
Okay.
They're really good. What do you mean, what's that? They're books. They're series.
Can you explain the series?
Oh, I guess,
Jackass.
That was hilarious.
go on audible.com and look it up.
All right, that's all we need. Moving on. We'll go into more depth on our next Audible talk. All right.
Next
anyway,
plug.
the next plug. All right, folks. So let's get into the episode. Remember, it's audibletrial.com/BaBaT. What are you doing,
I'm looking up audible.com.
Brittany? That was creepy. It reminded me of like an alien or something. You know, this like sound effects in movies, like. That was on purpose. All right, so Elixir, shall we get into it?
Yes, we are covering chapters 1 and 2.
Yes.
So it If you're reading along with us, please do. So chapters 1 and 2. Chapter 1 has a lot of stuff to unpack. Yeah. Holy shit.
Actually, and before we even get into that,
yeah,
we should also specify that Tatyana has not read this book. Shh. No, we're saying it.
What are you gonna do me like
We gotta
that?
point it out. We gotta point it out because I would love to hear, because she's a newbie, right? She doesn't know anything about this book
I'm
other
most
than what.
certainly not a newbie.
Well,
you're fresh.
You're fresh. Like, yeah, a flower blooming. So I have a note about the website description for this book.
Yes.
So I was telling you this earlier.
We're
so you know how, like,
gonna get to the book.
We will. It's okay.
We're getting there now.
So you know how, like, whenever there's a book online, it will say, like, the age range for, like, younger books, and this is a YA book. So usually we'll say, like, so this book, it says for 14, but usually it's, like, 14 plus.
Yeah.
On here, it says for ages 14 to 99. Here you go.
What if you're 100?
You can't read that.
It is. You're not gonna like
not
it.
allowed to read
You're
it.
not gonna find anything to relate to.
What was your test group?
It's on the top, I think.
Oh man,
That's pretty good.
I saw that and I was like, oh my god.
Their like idea of the oldest person is 99 years old.
Well, maybe they just figured once you hit 99, you're not gonna read anything anymore.
It's true. You're probably blind.
Oh my god.
My mom stopped reading. Now she just listens on Audible.
I thought you said your mom stopped breathing. I was like,
reading. Okay. Reading.
Oh my god. Just give me a moment.
Alright, that one's falling apart.
oh no, to 99. That's really funny.
I'm like sweating profusely now.
So, chapter 1. There's
Chapter
a lot
1.
to unpack.
Yes, there is.
So we start in the middle of her panic attack.
Yes, she's having a panic attack because of the crowds, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've had panic attacks before, and they've been triggered by crowds. I've never felt the way that she felt.
No,
Wait, is it a panic attack or just anxiety in a large crowd?
it's a panic attack.
She's literally says she's having a panic attack. I don't like first person.
You know, I'm not a huge fan of it either.
Yeah.
To be honest, I've always found myself, even in writing, I don't like first person. Even though I find myself writing in it, I don't like it.
It's hard.
Yeah,
It's very hard to write in first person, in my opinion.
I find that it's less. This is a bad statement to make, but I find it's less refined than a third person. Even though I know I've read first person, that can be very astute and well written. I find that first person is often used in YA books.
Yeah.
Which is fine. You know, we're not picking at that, but just that I'm not a huge fan.
It's not a personal preference.
Yeah.
So anyways, so she's having this panic attack. And when I had a panic attack, I didn't have rational thought. You know, I wasn't thinking, I'm okay, I know I'm in a safe place, but I'm having a panic attack. I just have to get a cold air, and then I didn't start thinking about
Her dad's
my
coffin.
dad's coffin. That's what I highlighted.
Same.
Okay, I had a sudden vision of this being forever, an eternity packed into a tiny space as confining as a coffin, like my father's coffin. Did he have a coffin? Was he even buried? Did anyone even know when he died? Was he alone, lost in the jungle? Was he attacked by animals? Was he found and tortured? Was he, do you pray?
That's a lot of
I wrote in my notes,
Yeah.
thoughts don't work that way, honey.
No.
Just the way,
No.
because you were like, that one sentence you read where it says, she talks about being packed into a tiny space that felt like a coffin. Like, I understand, rationally thinking, that might lead you to there, but, I highly doubt that's where, you would put the pieces.
When I was at a concert, and that's where I had my first panic attack because it was so claustrophobic, all I thought was, I can't breathe, I can't breathe,
Right.
I can't breathe, 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 I can't breathe.
Yeah.
It wasn't, I didn't follow a train of thought.
I was going to say, too, obviously, people probably know this, but writing is hard. It's
Yeah.
hard to write these things out. And I think even a skilled author would have a difficult time doing this. Because we should also mention, we've said it already, but this book is written by Hilary Duff, who is a published author, but not a writer. I could be wrong,
Someone helped
but
her, though, right?
Yes, which we're very unclear about. We didn't really do research, but maybe we'll talk about it next episode. Elise Allen is her co-writer. I think a lot of times, like when I read this, I was reminded of me writing as a teenager.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, so I think that for somebody who's never written before, yes, this is something you might write. But it won't convey the things that it's trying to. It's doing very generic things.
Yes.
Which is, that's fine. But,
it's fine for YA because YA a lot of times is generic. Okay. YA in mass production a lot of times is generic. Those authors that, like, pound out a book every year. It follows specific tropes and that's what people are looking for when they go to YA.
Roberts.
I was going to say but adult authors do that too. But I know what you're saying. Yeah. It's just, YA is...
When you pick up a book with a flashy cover, you know what's going to be inside of it.
Yeah, that's true. That's
what I think.
So, after this, we meet her friend, Raina.
Well, let's talk about she got out of the crowd because it's a representation throughout the book. Yeah, she got out of the crowd onto the balcony, and we find out that she's in Paris. She's in Paris. She's looking over the Eiffel Tower, bathed in yellow lights. It was beautiful. This made me laugh. That was one of my markers. Ooh. Because this book knows what I'm thinking, and as soon as I have the thought, it addresses it. Automatically, I reached for the camera bag dangling from my hip, but of course, because dangling at my hip, and there's a comma, and I closed the book, looked over at my husband, and went, "Who the fuck brings a camera to a nightclub?" And it said, but of course, I didn't bring it to me I hadn't brought it with me to the club. I was like, oh, okay, well, I should have finished the sentence and give it that little bit of justice. Then she runs her fingers over petals of an iris. The petals representing faith, valor, and wisdom that her father had given to her. So I just that's a reoccurring image.
She runs her fingers over the petals of iris where?
It's a necklace.
It's a pendant on the necklace, yeah.
A silver iris charm.
Yeah. And it's very corny, what the dad says.
Oh, well, yeah, it's super corny.
You already have all those in spades, little girl. But when things get tough and you forget, this necklace can remind you.
But you were making a comment, this is like the Lizzie McGuire movie.
Yes.
That's like a perfect comment to be in the Lizzie McGuire movie. But to be fair to Lizzie McGuire, I think Lizzie McGuire might do it a little better.
This whole book is a Lizzie McGuire movie. It is.
It's like grown-up Lizzie McGuire, except supernatural.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Go on. Then we meet her friend.
Yes, because she's asking her if she's okay. Her name is Raina. I think that's how you say it. Rayna. You knew that, okay. And I love how I wrote down, ugh, I hate these types of descriptions that she has in here, like already.
Oh, the thick mane of red curls?
Yes, thank you. I hate that. Like you don't like milky white? That's my milky white.
Oh, God.
That's my milky, which by the way, what was I'm listening to the 4th and 5th Game of Thrones books. That's for another story. And some description I never noticed him using before, but he uses a lot in these books, is milky white.
That's because he's got a boner for milky white women.
Look, he didn't produce the show, but maybe he does. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hate the thick mane of curls.
Why?
I don't know why.
It's
It's cliche, and it just something about it.
Also, why is the male ideal is a redheaded goddess? I don't understand that. Look, like, every man I've ever met, they're like, oh, redheads, and then they jizz in their pants. Like,
really? Because every man I've met has always like done the South Park thing. We're like, oh, gingers. Ah.
Oh no! Everyone that I've known love redheads.
You mean because they're rare?
Maybe. I don't know.
What was it? I don't know if this is real, but they said red hair, the gene is going extinct.
Yes, I read that too.
Were you telling me that? Maybe.
Well, I saw it.
Okay.
But God knows I'm great at genes. So.
Yeah, we have already discussed that.
I just believe everything I read. Go on. We don't know how old she is yet.
Well, we do.
Well, we
true.
do later. But the way this reads, when you first start, we're on page 4. Okay? So, they're at this club. We find out, okay, we're on page 4. She has a panic attack. We find out that she's in Paris at a club with her best friend. We find out that her father died. We find out, like, all this information on page 4. Then we also find out they have 3 days left of winter break until they head back to the academy, whatever, in Connecticut to finish up our senior year. I was going to go with her, but we switched to homeschooling, and then we decided to take a 3-week vacation traveling jet skiing, and there's no way she wanted to lose a single second of her remaining time to something as mundane as hanging out into a hotel room.
So you know she's a teenager.
Were you allowed to take a 3-week vacation overseas?
Yeah.
It depends on what school you're going to.
But it also sounds like she's
private
very
academy, and she said she's private school. If you're in college, there's no need to have schooling at home.
But it sounds very independent. Let's put it that way.
Rich people can afford that.
When I was 17, being sent over to France.
I was gonna say, yeah,
by yourself with your best friend for 3 weeks with no contact.
But remember, you're hearing that from us. Like, if you actually read the book, like, the narration does not read like a teenager.
I had no idea how old she was.
Like, I wondered myself, because I've read this before, I should add. I've read this, like, in 2011, I think. And I was thinking to myself, is she an adult? Like, it reads like she's an adult, but I don't really know. And then it, at some point, confirms her age, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I just have there's just so much going on by page 4.
Well, can I also add real quick, you talked about, back to my point so we can round it up, the vulnerability thing and being vulnerable as a teenager. I agree with you, but I think that a lot of YA books use this trope of writing, specifically female characters, in a way that is very clunky when it comes to vulnerability. Like, there's no nuance to it whatsoever. And so because it, like, does, like, oh, I'm strong. Oh, I just tripped. I'm so clumsy. Like...
It's like the Bella before.
Yeah.
Like in season 1. Not Bella, Belle.
Right.
In season 1.
But that's what Bella was in Twilight. She was completely, like, super clumsy.
This is getting confusing.
I know, yeah. It can be done so much better. I can't think of any examples right now, but if I do, I'll write them down so I can talk about them another time. And probably knowing how much you've probably read some of those books that I would think of. But yeah. So
it just, everything seems very picturesque. Because then she talks about her friends like, we could get going, it's fine. And our main character, what's her main character? I forgot her name already.
So Clay or Clea?
Clea?
I always said Clay, but Clea.
So Clea is like, no, we'll stay, even though I'm not having a really good time. The place is open all night, and we only just got started. So she's like, yay, let's go get the boys, our dates. So Raina is like gushing over this guy, and we find out more about Clay's father, who is also idealistic. He ran his own charitable foundation. He was into more important things like saving people's lives. So everything's very picturesque except for the fact that her dad's dead. So they have all this, like, I feel so disconnected from this person already. And it's not because, like, I grew up awfully. It's just, it's very Lizzie McGuire.
It's very lavish.
It's very lavish. You have this person who's 14, 17 years old. Not 14, I don't know why I said 14.
Yeah.
17, 18 years old, who's taking no supervision overseas with her best friend, is meeting all these guys. We find out her father's later on, a heart surgeon, did all this charitable work. It feels like someone's story on steroids. Like, to me, personally.
I agree, yeah.
I can't relate to it at all.
Yeah, I don't even know if this book was going for relatability. I really wonder, this is a situation where I wonder why this book was written, like how it came to be, because, this was published, I believe, in 2010?
Yes, 2010.
Okay, so this was, like, right after the Twilight hype. I mean, it was actually during the Twilight hype, because I graduated in 2009. It was really hyped then in 2009 and 2008. It would make sense because like the climate for publishing, for YA publishing, was like, oh, this one's like Twilight, let's get it.
That's true.
You know, so. But I really wonder, like, what was she thinking, like, when she decided, like, oh, I'm just gonna write a book, like, and the publishers were like, well, we got a big name.
Maybe because I was so uncomfortable as a 17-year-old. This is just making me uncomfortable reading, because like, then later on, what's her name is just like dry humping her boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like on this balcony when it's just the four of them, and she's watching her friend, going, "Huh,
yeah,
she's a really good actor," and like she's
is
making
she
out.
Acting?
No, I don't think she's.
Because
well, it says, my parents have. Wait, where was it?
It's
Thanks to my parents, I've been lucky enough to see some of the greatest actors of our time performing on stage. Raina, whatever the hell her name is, engaged in the art of seduction, beat all of them, hands down. And so she's watching her best friend, get in the pants of someone. That's, like...
It's weird.
Walk away.
Well, I wrote actors kissing. Like, I feel like there's a disconnect here, because, like you said... It says, thanks to my parents, I've been lucky enough to see some of the greatest actors of our time perform. And then she said, Raina engaging in the art of seduction. But she's not acting. She's engaging in the art of seduction. I
think that's more semantics than anything.
How do you mean?
Like, I think she's just trying to make a comparison, not like a metaphor, not a simile.
That's a very bad metaphor.
Yeah. That's
yeah.
Because when you watch actors, you want to believe that they're actually in love.
Right.
I don't think she's acting.
Right.
So I think she's just trying to do a simile, not a simile, but like just a like.
I know what you're saying, but I don't.
It's very hard for me to put into words.
No, I understand. Yeah. I don't get it at all. I don't see the relation at all to acting and her kissing a guy, making out with him.
She's very 17. She swears that they're soulmates after 2 hours.
Yeah,
knowing
it's pretty
him
quick.
And making out with him.
Sounds about right.
About 2 hours. Yeah, very 17. But we find out that she likes to play the field because she felt that same way about Julian and Rick and Jericho and Steve and Avi. All within the past 3 weeks. So this girl is really,
she's a player.
She's got a boner for a lot of people.
She does.
And we find out that... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, Clea, that's how you say it, right? Clea, she's a cynical beauty, okay? She's not a flirt like Raina, okay?
Yeah.
She's, she says, Raina remains endlessly optimistic about the prospect of true love. It's an attitude I can't relate to at all, but I admire it to no end. That's her cynical side coming out.
In the middle of their making out, Raina leans over to Clay and says, I think I'm in love.
Can you imagine that for a second? Like, just picture that. Like,
and
I think I'm in love.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. And Raina goes, I'm very happy for you. And I meant it. If a fantasy about a man with angles brought her joy, I was all for it. Because he's very angular in his face. Like, he has sharp cheekbones and sharper chin, and she said it about 4 times, so you know it's like drastic,
right?
Which is a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
And we're on page 7.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. This can be a fun ride. So then we get so Clea is with Joseph. He's just kind of sitting next to her while she's watching her friend make out. And,
she's obviously very interested in him.
Yeah. And it says, poor guy probably assumed he'd have my full attention the moment he arrived. Not the case, my friend. And they're having a little chat, like, because he's asking her about herself, and it's like, oh, you look terribly upset when you left the dance floor. And she's like, I did? Like, as if she didn't know what happened.
Yeah. She was embarrassed, and she's like, oh, you look terribly upset when you left the dance floor. Did I? I had a disturbing image of the juicy page 6 headline. Senator Victoria Weston's daughter leaves in the Paris nightclub. So we found out that her mom's a senator.
Yes.
And I don't know how the British government works or the Paris government. she's an American senator.
Right.
And I don't know much about politics overseas, but do they give a shit about American senators?
No.
Why the hell is it going to be on a juicy tabloid in Paris?
This book doesn't give a fuck. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
This book literally does not care about what's realistic, which is fine. Like, let's make that clear. But, like, the rules of this book, it's unclear.
Yeah.
Like, when a book is written, there's these invisible rules that are sort of laid out in the narrative. And this book decides, like, oh, I'll do this and I'll do this. It's the real world, but my mom's a senator and she's known everywhere in the world. And it's like, well, that doesn't really make sense.
Well, we find out that she is known everywhere in the world because
Yeah.
she is the foreign something diplomat
But-
or whatever.
But even then, like, I don't know foreign. Like,
I don't care.
Do you?
I don't.
I
Yeah.
don't even know what you guys are talking about.
I'm just saying that it's we're like only a couple pages in, and I'm overwhelmed. That's what I'm saying. It's a lot happening all at once.
Yeah.
And that's what my biggest critique is. Yeah. And because it reads like a list.
Actually, that's a really good point.
That's why I'm overwhelmed.
So maybe she's like setting us up for the story, just trying to give as much background information all at once, instead of like taking her time to work on this character as you read.
I get that, and that comes into character development.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why I agree. Like, I know people. That's why I was trying to say before that it feels like a person's life on steroids, because it's also happening so very, very quickly, and I'm overwhelmed already. So that was my critique about it.
Well, I was gonna say too, and I know we always reference this, but like think about something like Harry Potter. You don't know everything about Harry right away, other than his scar thing. But you learn more about him as the book goes on.
Right,
like
character development.
Yeah.
She doesn't take her time.
Yeah, so I think that is what I'm having an issue with as well.
Mm-hmm.
All these things are happening, and I find that after everything that's happened, I still don't feel... And again, we're only on page 8, but a lot has happened, and I still don't feel like I know her.
So
like,
she's using chapter 1 to basically info dump.
Yes.
That's a perfect way to say it, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've done too much serious stuff and not enough laughing.
I also think we're still coming off of fucking The Cursed Child.
You're lucky you weren't there, actually.
So.
It was awful. But anyway.
So we continue on. She is...
Oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot. It was a wet spot.
Okay.
So we continue on. She's talking to whatever his name is, Joseph. And she sees something like he drops on, so what's it like being Victoria Weston's daughter? And like immediately she's turned off.
Yeah.
Because she knows where this conversation is going. And then she talks about how her and Raina have always been friends, essentially. Her mom and Raina's mom, Wanda, were pregnant at the exact same time, and her dad drove them crazy because neither of them would listen to him and take it easy. I rolled my eyes a little bit at that one, but I get it.
Yeah.
At this point, we don't know that he's a doctor.
That's right.
So we find later on that he's a doctor, so it makes sense that he's a little bit more like pampering to his wife and Wanda. And like we find out that they've been friends literally since birth, separated only by hours. So this is like Tatyana said, this is a huge info dump.
And not necessary.
Actually, yeah, that's a good point. Well, I don't know if you heard that.
Could like throw these tidbits out one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not necessary. It's an info dump.
Even
Overwhelming, like you said. What's that?
Even dependent. Like, they could keep referencing it without explaining it and explain it eventually.
It's very holding your hand.
So what Tatyana said, in case no one could hear it, was that this is the info dump that was unnecessary. The tidbits could be sprinkled throughout the story, and also the fact that she is very independent as a person. Go ahead, Danielle.
Well, I was going to say, I find, like you mentioned earlier, it reads like you're reading a list.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's another kind of mistake that early authors tend to make, something I actually still do to this day. And a lot of times I'll do that because I just want to get it down on the page.
Yes.
And I have so much I want to say, and so I'll write it like a list, and I read it back, and I'm like, wow, yeah, that's not good.
You make a list, and you write it down, and then you go in and you add it.
Well, exactly.
You, what is that called?
Editing.
Well, yeah.
No, but
so you get ready for a night out. You put that shit
right.
on, and you take half of it off.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Or much you take off. Who said that? Who said that?
Are you actually making? Oh, I thought you were being sarcastic.
Oh my god.
Chanel famously said, you know, if you ever wonder if you put too much crap on, like accessorize,
mm-hmm.
you know, put whatever you want on, and then take 90% of it off or something.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's very. It's very thoughtful.
So she does do something good on page 14 going into 15. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if there's anything you want to talk about.
Well, you say your thing first, and then I'll go back.
This is the type of view into her life that we should be seeing versus the quote list. She talks about the time she was at camp and how people were harassing her, chasing her since the minute she was born, and publishing pictures of her awkward teen years, and how Raina can easily accept those things and gloss over it, even though the tabloids don't paint her in the best light, always pointing out how they're from different families. That's the type of insight that is more helpful for us to understand her character than to be going down these lists.
Yeah,
that
for sure.
was if that was drawn out through the last 15 pages, I'd relate more to this character.
Yeah, it made me think of, this is when I first thought, like, oh, Chelsea Clinton. Like, that's what I thought. Like, if, like, I could see that, like, being Chelsea Clinton's childhood. Though, then again, how old was she?
Chelsea? When
her dad was... But then again, he was a politician even before that. Like,
yeah.
So, but even then...
But a better example for more people to realize is the Obama kids. They were torn apart a lot of the times.
Yeah.
But you don't hear... I barely heard... I only ever heard about it when election time was around.
I was going to say the only thing I ever heard about the kids was, I think, the older daughter, she was, like, at a concert.
Yeah.
That's all I've ever heard.
I heard them making fun of their looks. Because they're the first black family in the White House.
Yeah.
That's basically what it was. And so that's mostly what I heard, but they were good kids as far as I know, as far as that I was told, you know. Didn't she get into Yale or something like that?
Yeah, they're both.
She's in Ivy League, the older one.
Yeah. I vaguely remember that. I'm sure you're right, because I don't know much. But then, like you said, they're not discussed. I mean, not in, like, a public circle like we would typically, you know. Not
the way that this girl, being a senator's daughter, not even a president's daughter, the senator's daughter over in Paris being plastered in the tabloids, you know. Then Raina is... So she's going to go away with this man, because we don't really know how old he is. I assume he's a little older for some reason. But
it feels that way.
It feels that way. So they're running off to his apartment, which has a view of the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah. Can I just read this one part?
Sure.
So it says, you know, Clay is basically saying, you know, now be sure you have your phone with you. Text me or call me if anything happens. Mm-hmm. And Raina responds, we're in France. There is... Oh, yeah, because she says, if something happens to you, I'm calling the SWAT team. Yeah. And Raina's like, anything... we're in France. There is no SWAT team, Raina reminded me. Then she leaned close, touching our foreheads together and looking me straight in the eyes. I will be fine. You will never lose me. And I wrote down, have you ever seen the movie Carol?
No.
Okay. Have you seen that movie? there's a quote from that. They go, Harold, they're lesbians. I was like, yeah, yes. I mean, no, they're not, but.
Well, like, this is the cursed child. It's very romantic between the two of them.
Yeah. Well, I was getting vibes kind of like with the Belle,
death.
Yeah, that's what I was getting.
Well, that, and like, she's like, she describes her best friend like as a Greek goddess with legs that go on for miles.
Yeah.
And like, she has all these pictures of her, you find out later on during their trip, of her like posing and all this type of stuff. So it's a very romantic relationship between the two of them.
Why can't you just enjoy how her friend looks?
Oh, I don't care about that. I just thought it was funny.
Maybe she's just appreciative of her friend's good looks.
But then they touch foreheads and
they touch foreheads. Do you do that with your friends?
They grew up together. Yeah.
Okay.
I've never done that.
I've never done that.
No.
Brittany, you need to call your best friend.
Wait, hold on.
Well, I know what my best friend and I do when we say goodbye and we hug. We literally go and run away.
So everyone's got their thing.
It's so funny.
I just think like it's a little much to me. That's all. Like touching foreheads.
We're also American, so
she's American.
They're
American.
Yeah.
Come on, folks. I just think I just thought it was a little overdramatic. It's like, don't worry about me. I'll be okay. Like, or whatever she says. I'll be fine.
They say it every time they separate.
Right.
Ever since her father died, and Clay hates it because of the word never in it.
Who's Clay?
Or Clea, sorry. Clea. I don't know the
I
names.
said Clay the whole time, so when you're saying that, I'm not even picking up on it until...
Clea. So she runs off with this guy, and Clea. God damn it. Clea goes dancing by herself.
Yeah.
And, like, she's enjoying the move. This is fine. I've done that several times, especially when I'm intoxicated. And we find out that she loves photography.
Yes.
Her father gave her first camera when she was 4. And her father,
you get that quote.
Her father speaks in cliches, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Remember, Clea, taking pictures is a huge responsibility. Many cultures believe that a photograph can capture one's soul.
You know what I wrote?
Do a lot of cultures believe that?
Good question. It sounds very generic and probably not. She starts talking about the the fact that she loves cameras, but how kind of weird it is that she loves cameras, yet she is photographed all the time and she hates it in the paparazzi.
Oh, yeah. What's her name makes fun of her for it.
I actually thought that's actually a really good character point.
Yes.
It's not really utilized in this book at all, but I think that would have been so cool if that was explored more.
So, anyway, she goes back to the hotel room, and she immediately grabs her camera, because when she was at the club, she really enjoyed the view. So she bundles all up, because it is in the middle of the winter. We find that out. It's winter break. She's only wearing like a thin silk dress. So she puts on all these layers, and I thought that was really fun to read, because it reminded me of the part of A Christmas Story when Ralphie's brother has like all those layers on, because it goes, I pulled on a pair of silk long johns, my favorite jeans, a turtleneck, a thick pullover sweater, a hoodie, and a knit bean, but no gloves, because gloves is a barrier between me and the camera, and they break our connection.
She doesn't have any gloves with like fingerless gloves?
Yeah, I know.
That'd actually be really good if she had that.
Yeah, because like it dropped. They say specifically it drops below freezing, and she's out on the balcony taking pictures of the landscape for hours, and my hands are stiff just thinking of it.
I know, I can't. Yeah.
I hate the cold. I hate winter. I hate everything about it.
Tell us how you really feel.
I hate like snow. If snow wasn't so cold, I would love it.
That's a fair point.
If snow was just fluff.
Maybe you just don't have the right clothing.
Maybe I just don't live in the right place.
True.
I hate winter too, but like it's only because like I feel like I can never get warm.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever had those moments where like your hands are so like I cannot text sometimes when my hands are cold?
You get those little pockets. You put them in your pockets.
I know, but then
the packets.
Yeah,
the
packets. Wait, I don't know what you're talking about.
The
hot hands.
You know what I'm talking about, because when we went camping, I bought a whole bunch of hot hands. And you throw them in your pockets.
Okay. My friend,
and then you can just keep you warm.
My friend that lives out in Montana, her winters are nothing like ours. They get like they could get 3 feet of snow in a couple of hours, but like you could shovel it in an hour because like
light and fluffy.
It's light and fluffy, and that's the type of snow I'm okay with because it's light and fluffy. And it's not humid and wet and heavy and fucking freezing. So
yeah, I'm not a fan either, just because when you like have to go drive in the snow and it's difficult to get to work, and I hate that too. And brushing off your car.
I have an idea. You can move to California.
There you go.
I'm thinking about it.
All right, so she spends a lot of time taking pictures the whole night, even thankfully.
And her fingers didn't freeze off.
Oh, they were numb.
But she didn't drop the camera.
She didn't drop the camera.
Thank God.
And she didn't have to sleep, which is a big thing. She's always avoiding sleep because we find out that she has crippling nightmares that revolve mainly around her dad's death. So she goes in and she has a lot. Oh, go ahead.
I just have a question.
Sure.
Do we know how long he's been dead?
A year.
Okay.
Yes.
I put that in quotes because they don't really know for sure. He's just disappeared. But yeah.
So at this point, we're assuming he's dead.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that from a place of like trying to say what happened. I'm just saying that like we don't know at this point.
Yeah. So she goes in, she's all bundled up, and she had like a nice like hot shower, and you read all about the croissant she's eating and like hot cocoa and tea. Croissant. And
Belle would approve.
Oh yeah,
she would.
true.
She would.
Please, Belle would be too busy eating her grilled cheese sandwich.
Toasted cheese.
She don't eat no croissant. She wants a grilled cheese sandwich.
She no bon qui.
That was amazing.
So funny. And then we effortlessly slip into a nightmare of hers, I would say.
Yes.
And she describes everything being on fire and everything being scary. And I actually really like this part a bit, actually quite a bit. The man staggering around the inferno that had once been a hotel room, flames dancing over his arms, his legs, his hair. He pounded at the flames, but it only fueled them. And as they leaped down his face, the man turned to me. I saw my father's final agonizing cry. Like, that's pretty good. I liked that a lot, personally. So then we find out that she was watching the news, and they were talking about the flame. And this is where we find out that she had an amazing opportunity to work as a photojournalist, seeing all kinds of things. So we don't know how long she's been a photojournalist, whether it be just a couple months, maybe a couple years. But we do know that she is a professional photographer when it comes to that stuff. Up to this point, we had no solid confirmation of how old she was.
I kind of, maybe this is all obviously a personal thing, but I kind of wish we don't know her age.
That she was a little bit older?
Yeah, I kind of wish she was older.
Yeah. If she were a little bit older, I would be more inclined to believe it.
Yeah, I would like that, but I think it would be much more, this might feel
30
like
and flirty.
Kind of,
like,
yeah.
Let's go, yeah.
It would have been, I don't know, I think it would have been more fun, I think. Like, when I read
this... Or if
this...
she was a senior in college, at least.
Yes.
Yeah, so, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just, I don't... But then she might be a senior in college.
No, she's
17.
Not. Yeah. Yes. We'll bring that up. So...
Okay, we'll just stop.
Because that's a point we're going to make, and it makes me want to rip my hair out. So... she's watching it, and she learns that the fire that was in the news and infiltrated her dream was an apartment building that had views of the Eiffel Tower, which she remembered her best friend. She was going to an apartment building with a boy who had a view of the Eiffel Tower. Oh, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. I didn't have to write that down, so thank you.
There you go. So she starts calling her friend, pick up, no. And just trying to get in contact with her.
And then she calls her friend Ben, who lives in the States.
Mm-hmm.
Well, obviously he's in the States. And she calls him because basically she doesn't know what else to do. She just needs to call him almost as like a security blanket. Like, to guide her through this troubling time to find out if her friend was in the fire or not. So...
Oh, because the address that her friend texted her was the same address as the one on the news. So we definitely know it's the same building.
Right. So she goes, she catches a taxi, and she speeds over to this building, and she finds her friend pretty quickly.
Wait, so she didn't have a nightmare about her father's death. She had a nightmare with him dying in a fire, and that's not necessarily how he died.
Correct. That no one knows how he died or if he's even dead.
Right.
Okay.
Which is why her panic attack in the first part of the chapter was, is he buried? Was he tortured? Was he taken? Was it? Is he still alive? Is he still out there? Was he in a coffin? I don't know. So that's why. So she has nightmares about just a slew of things.
Because she's had no closure.
She has
Correct,
no closures.
yeah.
And that's what her psychiatrist says that we find out.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. But she finds Raina, and they come together, and they put their foreheads together.
Again.
And she says, I told you you'll never lose me, remember?
She wants to start taking pictures of the flames because it really, excites her. It gets her juices going.
Whoa.
And...
sounds like an arsonist in the making.
I read that, and I was like, there is a bad fire. People are dying right now.
People are dying right now. She found out that her friend's
and
fine.
Juicing.
And she's juicing.
Somebody pass her napkin. We don't like wet spots here.
Up top again.
Funny.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but that's how it ends this chapter.
Can I talk about the last sentence?
Yeah, go ahead.
It says, I had absolutely no idea I was taking pictures that would change my life forever.
Mm-hmm.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh, good job.
Thank you. I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Oh, and also, we know that Raina and Ben are very close with Clea. Fuck me.
I'm never going to remember.
Clea.
Just think like Cleopatra.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, that makes
Cleopatra,
nice.
Because Rhea goes, I'm going to go check on Pierre, and if you give me your phone, I'll call Ben back and let him know everything's okay, assuming you called him. So,
she knows.
It's a triangle of friends.
She knows. She knows her friend all too well. Oh, God.
Well, yeah, her legs do go on for miles. So
okay.
Maybe Ben has his own best friend. Don't assume you're on page 10.
Actually, we're on page... What page are we on?
28.
31. Well, okay, I'm to chapter 2. That's why I said that. Sorry.
Oh, all right. So we're back in Connecticut. And they say their goodbyes. We find out in the previous chapter that Raina and Clea live on the same property. And Cleopatra, that's how I remember. Thank you. They live on the same property because Raina's mother takes care of the horses on the property. So when they get home, they say goodbye and just go to their respective homes on said property.
Estate.
And this made me laugh because it dates itself pretty incredibly.
Wait, I think I know. Okay.
I have a 16 gig compact flash card filled with trip pictures screaming.
16 gig?
Yeah. Yep, thank you. Thank you.
What is 16 gig these days?
So her eyes keep going back to a picture at the fire at Pierre's apartment building.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's looking at it, and she's looking at the firemen, and she goes into all these, descriptions about the firemen and the look on their faces and all this stuff.
DSR, right?
DSLR, yeah. And then she enlarges the picture to zoom in on the truck, and we get even more description about the truck. And then she enlarges the picture again, and she centers on the spot on the side panel, and she sees the shadow. There's a shadow.
Yes.
And it was from a man. In his early 20s, though it was hard to make out his features since he wasn't... That's another thing. These pictures have to be high quality. She zooms really far in.
She zooms in 200%.
His head was downcast, and every muscle in his body seemed to coil with clenched tension. And I wrote, haha, clench.
Also, before you move on with that...
Yeah.
She's describing a shadow.
Right,
the shadow of a man.
Okay, see, that's what I was confused too.
Yes.
Thank you for pointing that out, because I thought I was going crazy.
No.
Well, she even says at one point, like, she wants to print it. She's like, well, I've zoomed in so much, it's pixelated. I'm like, so how are you seeing this, then, all these details? Because I was wondering that too. I was like, how far... She must have a really good camera. You know, but 16 gigs.
But a shitty printer then.
Hey, you know what? True. And then she asked, like, is he a firefighter? He was built like one, but he wasn't in a uniform. And she...
Oh, go ahead.
Are all firefighters built a certain way?
So she's sitting here and she's contemplating who this man is and why does he look so, like, forlorn at the fire. And
then her maid, Piri, takes her out of it.
Her maid?
Yeah.
She has a maid.
Yeah, they have a housekeeper.
A Hungarian housekeeper maid. Her name's...
Oh, no, she wasn't there.
No, she wasn't there.
She heard the doorbell.
Right, so she thought... Or she didn't take her out of it. Was that me?
No, that was her.
Oh, okay. She heard the doorbell, and so she said Piri, meaning thinking that she would get the door, then realized, oh, she's not here today.
Let me see this.
Are you making sure we said the name right?
Yes.
It's okay. Honestly, I never pronounce things right. So that's good that you're
just because earlier there was a Pierre. So
yes.
I'm just making sure.
Oh, yeah. True. And it's something from her mother. Yes, because she sends
a bouquet of irises.
That's right.
A large bouquet of irises in every color of the rainbow. Saying, sorry I wasn't here to see you come home. I'm in Israel. Love, Mom. No, she said it a lot nicer than that. I'm paraphrasing.
And she talks about how it was her, despite her choice of blooms, she didn't mention Dad at all, because I guess it was his favorite flower.
Or because she has the iris that her father gave her.
Is that why?
The necklace.
Oh, okay.
That's what I assumed.
Okay. I thought it said, but I can't find it here, so I'm just going to not even worry about it.
And we find out that her mom recently became on the Senate and a prominent member of the Foreign Relations Committee, so she's constantly traveling.
Yes. So she goes to her dad's office to find some comfort, she says.
Because she can't find it within her mom.
Correct.
Her mom avoids the subject completely.
Yes. And so she goes upstairs, and then this is when she talks about how her dad was a famous, or just a heart surgeon, a renowned heart surgeon.
Yes.
And that's when I wrote, oh, doctor, politician, photographer, they are a perfect family.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, damn, I wish I was a
You
part
said,
of this
no,
family.
definitely renowned. Most people would think Grant Reynold as the most renowned heart surgeon in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she... Let me know if I'm missing any details. She sits down at his desk, and she basically talks about how his office really hasn't been touched since his disappearance.
His incredibly messy office, because he liked how he wanted his environment to reflect the inside of his brain.
Which is cool.
Yeah, which is a neat detail. Not for a heart surgeon.
Cool.
I don't know many doctors. Actually, very few.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's an accurate description of how they have a messy brain.
I would say that's more of a creative person thing, and I don't picture... Not that doctors can't be creative, but like I don't picture... I agree with you. I don't picture a doctor... But maybe he is more creative because it says he's renowned, so maybe he's different than most doctors.
Yeah, and he's like... I think he's really into research. Like, he's a world-renowned heart surgeon.
Yeah.
But I feel like his passion is in research. Because we read a lot of... Like, we read about how he likes all these cockamamie ideas of, like, Bigfoots and stuff like that. And not saying that doctors can't be into that, but the few that I know are very logical. And they find the more reason. They approach things very methodically versus creatively, which more researchers do.
Yeah.
So we have this part here where they are talking about the messiness of his room, and she talks about Perry. Now, I know nothing about superstitions.
Yeah.
in different cultures.
Yeah.
So this I found very funny. Despite her overwhelming belief in the cleanliness/godliness connection, she would defy to the death his right to make any choice, even when she found it heartbreaking. A few times Dad had left the office door open and Perry saw inside. She would take a breath, cross herself for protection, but then walk away. So, is that a superstition? Has anyone heard that one? You see a messy room and you cross yourself for protection against evil spirits?
No. Personally, no.
I've never heard of that before.
Can you comment?
I have no comment. I can Google. I can't comment, but I can Google.
So she is wondering that the room feels off, even though she can't exactly place why.
Yeah. So
she's thinking about who might have come through Dad's office, because it feels like an invasion of privacy. It feels very I was gonna say molesty, but that's not the word I'm thinking of.
But that's actually kind of like it's like an invasion. Yeah.
So she's thinking about Mom. Can it be her? She hasn't
Peary,
touched anything.
Yeah.
It's not Peary.
Yeah.
And then she thinks of Ben, who has keys. Now at this point, I was like, why the fuck does Ben have keys to her dad's office? That seems very weird.
Yeah.
Then maybe someone that doesn't have keys, someone that might be snooping through his drawers and changing things around, moving things, and then she stops herself. She's having, quote, extreme thoughts, as her therapist calls it. So that was pretty interesting, because it's showing that she's going to therapy, and it's her panic attack at the club hasn't been the first time. We already know she's not sleeping. So the disappearance or death or whatever it was of her father is really having an effect on her.
Yeah. So then she hears someone in a low voice murmur in her ear her name, and she flips the F out, and it turns out it's Ben, who had coffee and spills it all over his sweater.
Yes.
Sweater?
His sweater.
Sorry. Oh.
Holy shit. So Ben spooks her. And he's like, ow, it's all over his sweater. And like
he takes off, he tries to give her a hug, and he's all wet, so then he backs away, takes off the sweater, and she notices his t-shirt, semi-wet, is sticking to his chest, and she can't look away. It's just... I wrote LOL.
I wrote LOL for her 10 years of Krav Maga?
Krav Maga.
Is that how you say it? Krav Maga?
Krav Maga.
What is Krav Maga?
Yeah.
It's an Israeli created defense system. It's
she took 10 years.
It's a martial arts.
She took 10 years of it.
Oh, did she?
That's
interesting.
Very violent, by the way.
That's a very interesting detail to know.
She's talking about how she could have defended herself. Not crazy, nimble. 10 years of Krav Maga. Thank you. Gives you cat-like reflexes. If you had been an intruder, ... So
that's really...
She's a very violent person, then, I guess.
Well, no, Krav Maga is a very violent form of martial arts. It's meant to bring someone down. It's not meant to just defend yourself.
Yeah.
I think this is something we definitely have to keep in mind as the book goes on.
Okay.
It's an interesting choice, though, of all the things she could have
I agree.
learned. The Krav Maga is the one that she did. Because once again, you don't just defend yourself. You learn how to put someone down.
Oh, okay.
So that's really interesting. Just saying.
Almost all the moves in it are meant to.
I never heard of it.
I've never heard of it either. I had no idea. Where does it say that, actually?
It's on top of, for me, page 41.
Okay.
It's part of Israeli defense training, and it's very popular martial art.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it, so thank you for explaining.
Yeah.
You're very welcome.
And like you said, he strips a little bit.
And then,
and poor Clea can't keep her shit together.
No, she can't.
Oh, gosh. She's a wet t-shirt on the man's chest.
She wrote, but I didn't say a word, and I didn't stop looking. Clearly, I was in a sleep-deprived haze. So, then...
Maybe Jacob should have spilled a drink on himself.
This is definitely Jacob.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. We got it.
Yeah, we got it in.
At first, for some reason...
Oh, I was referencing the other Jacob. In the beginning, she was sitting on the couch with Jacob, completely not interested.
That was Joseph.
Okay, whatever.
Get it?
I agreed with you.
How dare you? I was sitting here, and I thought you meant Jacob from Twilight.
I did not, but okay.
Okay.
Oh, we learned that they missed each other.
They missed each other, and then Raina comes.
And she's like, hello, please tell me I'm interrupting something.
Bow, chicka, wow, wow.
Keep it in your pants, ladies.
They're obsessed with each other's sex lives.
I
It's
know.
okay, best friends. Okay, fine, whatever.
Oh, never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah.
What?
Nothing.
Keep reading.
Nothing. And then Raina is like, hey, I just want to let you guys know that we're having a party at home.
Is that how
to
you
celebrate.
imagine she sounds like?
Yeah,
Actually, I think that's really great.
We're having a party. Hello, please tell me I'm interrupting something. We're having a big to-do at my house. Mom's cooking, and you guys are invited. So that's where we are.
I have a question.
Why does she sound like a spoiled biatch?
I mean,
She might be. We don't know.
She sounds like a very nice, caring person.
okay, you're right. Sorry, but look. Okay, don't lose my image.
I'm gonna read this the way it should be read.
What was I gonna say? I think we need to do a Patreon thing when we have a Patreon and act out some of these scenes. Do you?
I'm fine with that.
Can you look real quick? Can I just see the Patreon? I just want to know where
You're
I
on
left
43.
off. 43. Well, you're 43.
Well, when we checked, you had the same
hell are you
color
doing?
at the top.
Oh, really? Well, you might want to look at her book. I wasn't where she was.
I was reading
Oh, I see.
middle of 43.
Should I read it
Go
the way
ahead,
I
go ahead.
think?
Go ahead.
Okay,
Oh,
but you guys can't stare at me. This is uncomfortable. Hello. Please tell me I'm interrupting something.
How's that different from what I said?
Because you made her sound like a...
Valley Girl?
Thank you. And
mean,
she's
yeah.
not.
I know girls that talk like that.
If you don't see me, I'm like shrugging.
Immediately, unless I tell my mom they were.
Wait, what?
And then the next.
No, let's start all over. I read my little
God.
bit, now you're reading the other stuff.
Hello, something. Blah, blah,
I
blah,
read
blah.
that. You're now Raina. You're Clea.
I'm Clea?
Yep.
Why is it I'm hearing no one when they come in the house?
Big house. Come on. My mom's throwing us a welcome home party at our place.
Tonight?
Immediately, unless I can tell my mom there are extenuating circumstances.
You sound very professional. What 17-year-old is like, unless they're
the kind that hooks up with a guy after guy after guy after guy.
Well, then, don't you think she'll be talking like this?
Oh, yeah. No, you don't have to talk like this to hook up with a guy. You can just be a very interesting person.
You could talk like, what's her name?
With fantastic,
with the blonde hair.
never-ending legs.
Who's the girl who... Oh, actually, speaking of that, who's the girl from the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants with long blonde hair?
Blake Lively.
Yeah, that's who I think of. Like,
yeah,
from
and she
Gossip
does not
Girl.
talk like a Valley Girl. She talks very normally.
But I still think... Like, okay, I like
Who
I agree
knows
with,
that she's hot, likes boys,
I don't picture
and doesn't need to sound like this.
I thought of that.
I think you're generalizing, not me.
Oh, damn!
No, it's just that no one who sounds like how you said it does the whole forehead thing
Can I
with
see?
their best friend.
Can I see the
You're
book?
generalizing.
Can I have the book?
No.
Can I?
Oh my God! Take your book.
I didn't want to lose my page.
Okay.
I didn't want to lose my Post-its.
You know how hard I worked? I was laying in bed trying to write.
So
I just got really passionate there, and I apologize.
Raina is like, let's go over, and then she makes her comment about it being other circumstances.
Sweater
Ben-
malfunction.
Sweater malfunction. Sweater man
true.
function.
Sweater man function.
That's what I said. Sweater man function.
That's amazing.
Ben blushes.
It's Ben Wood because he's Jacob.
Basically. And we find out that Raina's entire family has spent the last 2 years dying for Ben and me to get together.
Yes.
So.
And then we get this, she's inviting them to her house for like a picnic, I guess. Mm-hmm. And it says, okay, let's go to the party. And then we just spend a paragraph talking about the party. And then that's it. And then they go home. Like, it just talks about the food.
There's
Did
also,
I go too far?
Yeah, because we
My bad.
are now learning that Ben is a bodyguard for her.
Right, of course. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Ben is her bodyguard.
Who's bodyguard?
Clea's
bodyguard.
Definitely Jacob.
Yep.
It's amazing, actually. Like,
he is her bodyguard, and why can't I
Wait, why
speak?
does she have a bodyguard?
Because she's the Senator's daughter.
Senator's daughter?
Senator's daughter. Not the whole Senate.
wow,
that would be very, very
They had
naughty.
a huge orgy, and one child came of it.
That would be amazing.
And nobody
How many
wants
people are
to
in the
check
Senate?
whose DNA it has.
Exactly.
Oh my
She's
God.
just on a
Nope.
pedestal.
That's a sitcom idea.
Oh.
This is
No, that's not a sitcom idea. That's
Okay,
basically
sorry.
ancient Greece.
a corny movie idea. I'm thinking 3 Men and a Baby.
So
Anyway,
this is where we find out that Ben is 20.
Yes.
And he has a doctorate.
And a bodyguard.
And a bodyguard.
He's a bodyguard,
Has a
yeah.
doctorate.
And a doctorate?
Speaks more languages than humanly possible. And knows something about pretty much everything, though his specialties are in world history and mythology.
So he's basically AI.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, it's the only thing that could explain all of that.
Exactly.
At
being
20.
But apparently they're soulmates. Like, cool. The sweater malfunction is brought up again. And then they go to the paragraph long.
Oh, Ben, don't you understand? You're not soulmates with Clea. You're soulmates with our future child.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I get them mixed up with Bella again?
Yes, you did. It's okay. It happens all the time when you're reading this book. So my one point was, why did we need, like, the paragraph, it basically just talks about the food at this party, and then that's literally it.
I
like,
laughed.
Is Clea blonde?
I mean, she's on the, so this doesn't have the front cover, but there's another cover where it's actually Hilary Duff on the cover. Being Clea.
Yeah.
I can bring it up while you're...
So the party's over and she goes back home.
And she goes to go to bed, but then, psych, she wants to look at the photos. So she starts going through the photos. Sorry. Oh, yeah, she's looking out. She wanted to print his image, it says, and add it to her portfolio, this man that she saw.
This pixelated zoom in?
But I had to enlarge it, or I had to enlarge the picture so much just to see him, I'd never be able to get more than a granulated print.
Where is that?
That's on page 46 for me. The paragraph starts with, I sat at my desk.
Ah, okay. Go on.
So that's when we get that little detail, which we won't go down that road again. But just wanted to bring it up. And so she reduces the photo, and she's looking at the other 19 images she had set aside. And suddenly she brings one up, and she's like trying to crop the photo, but then she sees in the crowd of tourists a familiar cheekbone and a hard set jaw. Mm-hmm. No, it was impossible. Anyway, so then
you lost your own place.
So then she goes through some more photos, and she's finding this man in a bunch of her photos.
Where he shouldn't be.
He shouldn't be. At one point, she finds a photo.
Why shouldn't he be in them?
Because they're spread out throughout the 3 weeks of their traveling.
Mm-hmm. And they're all in, like, different places.
They're all in different places, and he's, like,
I thought she was
popping up.
just in France, in Paris.
No? I don't know.
Well, they are in... I think they're in Rome in this place.
Yeah, I think it's all over Europe, to be honest. But
Okay.
In front of the Patreon in Athens.
Okay, yeah.
So they're all over the place.
At one point, she has a photo where he's just kind of floating there in the corner.
Wow, you went right to that one. Okay.
Granulated?
Granulated, that's what it says.
Granulated?
It's pixelated.
Pixelated, just another word, I guess. But I think granulated sugar. But anyway.
Yeah, so she's going through all these people, and it's, like, really freaking her out. Mm-hmm. She doesn't know whether or not, like, it's making her skin crawl. Maybe it's pretty sinister. Maybe he was trying to kidnap them the whole time. And then she comes across the one where she took a picture of a gargoyle. She's like, okay, whew. There's no way he could be in this picture because everything is, like, blocked off to tourists.
You can see all of the...
Oh, look at those
eyebrows!
So defined.
Look at those defined cheekbones.
So angsty.
Wait, can that be our... That will be our album, like,
expression.
Can you send that to me?
Yes.
All right, so then in a flash of wild inspiration, I grabbed my camera and snapped 10 pictures, spinning around in my chair to get the bookcase, the closet, the bed, every section of the room. And then she looks at the photos on her computer, and she doesn't see anything. So she's like kind of looking, and despite my crazy thoughts, it seemed like the man really was just a flesh and blood stalker. I was actually relieved. Then I opened up the 10th photo and screamed out loud. It was my darkened closet with the man inside the door.
Oh, that is fucking creepy.
I wrote, well, that is terrifying.
That is really fucking terrifying. That's not even funny.
No, it's terrifying.
So, we are sponsored by Audible. Audible gives you a 30-day free trial when you use our code. What is it, Danielle?
It is audibletrial.com/BaBaT.
Mm-hmm. And there are over 180 titles, 80,000 titles, not... That's very limited if it's 180. That you could choose from. If you have any books that you listened to lately, let us know. Recommend them. So your fellow listeners could be like, cool. So, how do we feel about the first 2 chapters?
Look, I'm not feeling optimistic. But I think, it's only going to get better from here.
I don't know. It got real creepy with the guy in the closet.
That's what I mean.
I think I'm going to enjoy the corniness of it, because like I said, there have been a couple times where I'm like, oh, come on, but then it answers it right away. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's fine.
You're a better woman than I am, because I'm reading. No, you know what? I read it and I find I'm enjoying the experience of like taking notes with it, but that's like about the extent of it. I'm like, oh yeah, this is with you two.
I hope we see more of her mom.
Yeah, I would like that too, to be honest. I would like to see her relationship with her more than just the things that she's kind of sprinkling in.
Yeah. Like,
really see what that looks like. But, yeah.
Anyways. So, I think we're done?
Yeah. Oof.
Oh, that was rough. How long was this one?
Well, this was 2 hours and 30 minutes, so...
Hey, just as long as the fucking cursed child, and there's a lot that could be cut out of this.
Yes, and so there will be. Good. I already know. Like, I was thinking as we were going along, I was like, yeah, that's going to be cut.
Oh, we're done?
I'm wrapping it up. So, okay. Folks listening, I'm just going to wrap it up real quick. If you are interested in the podcast, want to learn more about us, we have a website, BaBaTpodcast.com. There you can find a link to all of our social media. We have an email. We have forums. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, Instagram.
Reach out and touch us.
So cool. Yes. And that's about it. Oh, yeah. Our art credit is to Katie Hartung. Be sure to check out her website in the show notes. At this point, we do not know what music we're using in our intro, but we will be sure to link to that in our show notes, and we'll credit that person in the future. So, thank you for listening, and we will see you all, or actually talk to you all, next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.